Chapter 4 Sky Mirror Lake. A destructive orbital laser beam is just a form of light, an electromagnetic wave. And like all electromagnetic waves, it consists of both electric and magnetic fields that oscillate together. These fields are perpendicular to each other and to the direction of the wave's propagation. We're just changing the ratio of the waves and field size. Hill Commander Lumenaught.
A pulley system had long ago been installed for soil. Lave added just enough to almost balance his gear, weight, and then sent it down. Then with gear secured, he wrapped the rope around his legs and gripped like his life depended upon it and jumped for a controlled descent that still hurt upon landing. After putting his fallen blade back into its belt holster, he anchored the rope and pressed forward. Taking the river route would be an extra 4 hours by raft to just get to the base of the mountain's waterfall. The rocky walking path up Steam Smoke Mountain would be a test of endurance, but one that would get Lave to the Sky Mirror hot springs before sunset. Sky Mirror Lake's waters were considerably colder and ripe with oversized fish eating a mountain's volcanic energy in plant life. Not to mention that life eating each other. It took 7 hours of tolerant hiking, but Lave arrived just an hour before sunset. He found the first hot spring he could, unrolled his sleeping bag and rested. He would need all his strength for what was to come atop the relatively short mountain. Lave closed his eyes and dreams showed him possibilities. Lave then awoke to the reality of his path. High altitude, thin air, low temperature, and oversleeping due to exhaustion should have made him a frozen fern upon the ice he had slept on. The hot spring steam had left him warm but wet. A dangerous gambit awaited him. Lave reached into his pack and his gloved hand pulled out a bottled powder and his rope. His trident now had a line to cast with. A frozen flowering fringed tree grew a third of the way out upon the solid ice of Sky Mirror Lake. Balanced between two branches were a stack of sticks.
Right where I left you,
Lave muttered. One trident motion brought the bundle of firewood down, and a little effort later the dry but cold wood was prepped. Lave left his bedroll behind. The trident with rope tied to the tree, bait balls and powder was all he took. Far into the middle of the mostly dormant volcano, upon the frozen waters that formed Sky Mirror Lake, Lave began shaping the powder into his house symbol. 4 lines and 2 circles that symbolized a web to Lave. Elves were not just elves. They were made with the blood or body of a second living or once living being. Each elf's acorn opened at one point to have this genetic sample added to the formation of the next generation. Why bother with millions of years of evolution when you could just steal it? Elegant proof that elves were a space-faring race. Lave's genetic code was mixed with an Argyronida, the diving bell spider. Strange when it came to fish, Lave felt more like a cold-blooded killer. A true predator of aquatic life. Flint scratched the steel but cap of the trident and sparks flashed white-hot thermite-level fire. Averted eyes could not watch the descending destruction smolder into spring water. The trident tool began its use, removing the 16 ice sheets. Lave warmed his hands as the cold began to touch his bones. He viewed the sky and determined sunrise would be in about an hour or more. Lave's haste had given his prey the advantage of being more rested. Tired and cold whispered melancholy into elven ears. Lave snapped out of it. The fish were waking up. The mega humphead wrasse would be the hungriest. Lave lifted the first palm-sized ball of fish food, his all-metal trident with anchored attached rope, and silently took his hunting post by baiting his trap. The bait would slowly dissolve, bleeding flakes of food leading to his trident. The elf stood there, statuesque and ready to pounce upon his prey. Time passed. Lave waited. Little to no movement, and nothing continued to happen. This wasn't patience, this was work. Elven eyes included the ultraviolet spectrum on any water movement. Slight silent appendage movement to keep from extremities freezing. Controlled breathing and all functions ready for a single deadly action. Movement, throw and then death. Bait, patience and readiness. Movement, throw and then death. A 20-inch bluegill and a salmon. Lave dragged his prey back to the tree. He packed them in snow to keep them fresh. Had this been a normal hunting trip, he would be done already. He had the same thought when he packed the next 2 fish in snow. A trout and a large blackspot sargent, which is commonly mislabeled as a zebra fish. Lave started a small fire. The thin air and cold was starting to take their toll, besides light wouldn't be a fishing issue soon. Sunrise crested the horizon, touching the volcanic top and the cloudwood world tree. Lave was watching it perhaps 10 or more minutes in advance of the rest of the forest. Maybe an hour and a half more of primetime fishing. He could only carry 1 more fish back anyway, if it wasn't the mega humphead wrasse. 3 handfuls of bait on this final effort. 1 at a time, don't strike until you know you're going to kill something big. This is day 1. Patience. He took his position. A statue ready to strike. A theta state of mindset saw the bait fall into the warm water of the frozen lake. Time slowed for 30 minutes as each rounded sphere of fish food dissolved and was swallowed by lesser-sized fish. Lave dedicated the last of his bait to his trap. Something big moved past, testing the fallen flakes. The water level and the ice fluctuated because something big was rising.